Hello, everyone. I am back with my homemade vegan chili. Disclaimer, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian in any shape, form, or fashion, but this dish was really fun and easy to make, and I hope you guys enjoy it like I did. So, the vegan part of this vegan chili, I used, instead of ground beef, instead of chicken, I used two different types of mushrooms. This first type of mushroom is called the beach mushroom. You can find it at I think I found it at an Asian grocery market, but any place where you can get like specialty produce. It has sort of a springy, spongy feel to it. You get like a big cluster on the root, and the caps of the mushrooms really soft, really springy. They feel like, to me, kind of like raw chicken almost, that sort of rubbery, bouncy feel. So I'm excited what the texture turns out to be when I cook it. This next set of mushrooms, they're called enoki mushrooms. So they're similar to the beach mushrooms, except they're super long, super skinny. They have that same springy, bouncy, like raw chicken feel. And these come on a cluster just like the beach mushrooms. And of course, you gotta have beans for your chili. I use three types. Dark kidney beans. I also use some light red kidney beans that I drain. And I also use some regular red kidney beans. You'll also need diced tomatoes as well as tomato paste for this recipe. You'll also need some green chilies. I use darker green chilies because they're a little spicier, as well as some red chilies. Please feel free to use more or less depending on how spicy you like it. Of course, we will also need an onion as well as some garlic. Feel free to use as much or as little garlic as you'd like. I also usually use beef broth for this recipe, but instead I'm going to do a little vegetarian twist and use beefy onion recipe soup mix. It's not actually made with beef, it's just artificially flavored that way. So I figured it'd be a little more truer to a vegan recipe. Next, you'll clean and prepare all of your veggies. So I start by taking that big root full of dirt off of the bottom of both clusters of mushrooms. As you can see, my mushrooms kind of broke up here, so I'm going through individually and just taking those unusable pieces off. Make sure you rinse everything really, really well because, as I said before in my past videos, mushrooms are grown directly in the dirt, and nobody wants to eat dirt in their chili. Make sure to pull all the mushrooms apart so you can give them a good scrub in between at the roots. Giving a little extra scrubbing to my peppers. All right, so next step, we're gonna chop up and prepare all of our vegetables. Of course, I like to start with my garlic because it's the smallest. I have to chop it the finest. Use as much garlic as you like. As you can see, I am a garlic fiend. So I use, that looks like maybe 6, 7, 8 cloves, something in that range there. Next, chop up your onions. Make sure you chop them up pretty fine, just depending on how big you like your vegetables in your chili. I like to dice mine up pretty fine for my own recipes. All right, so last but not least is the chilies. Make sure you remove the stems, the pits, the seeds, everything before you start chopping. If you're using chilies that are hotter than these, or if you have like a particular sensitivity to chilies, please feel free to wear food safe gloves, as they do cause chili burn when you're working with them for a long time. All right, let's prepare these mushrooms. So they're nice and clean. As you can see, they have that really sort of bouncy, jiggly texture. They feel like pieces of raw chicken breasts in my hands, or raw like pork in my hands. So to prepare these, I'm gonna go through and pop the caps off of each, and then chop the stems up into small pieces. Feel free to do the pieces as big as or as small as you'd like. I did them sort of small to mimic the size and texture of ground beef. All right, so to start, you want to take the big pot you're going to be cooking in, or a separate pan if you want to do this in a crock pot, but I like to save on dishes. So I want to coat the bottom of the pot with the oil of your choice. I like to use EVOO, but feel free to use canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever you'd like. Once your oil starts to heat up at about a medium-high temperature, you want to go ahead and add in all your vegetables. I like to start slow by putting in my garlic first, letting it brown, get a little hot, and then I like to add my onions and the rest of my veggies. So because we're using vegetables instead of meat here, we're gonna brown everything pretty much at the same time. So you wanna go ahead and once your vegetables, your onions, garlic, and peppers start to get a little brown, a little translucent, you wanna go ahead and add in your mushrooms. So I will tell you guys that the mushrooms do actually cook a little bit faster than the other vegetables. So you wanna make sure you're browning everything pretty much at the same time. Add in a few seasonings when it starts to brown. After that's been cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes or so, once everything starts to sort of brown and mix together, you want to go ahead and add in your tomato paste and incorporate that really well into your vegetables. After about another 5 minutes or so, once the tomato paste is really cooked down and incorporated into the vegetables, then you want to go ahead and add your diced tomatoes and stir them up really well. After another 5 or 10 minutes or so, once the tomatoes have really incorporated into your chili mix, you want to go ahead and add your beans. Now, for me personally, I drain all of my beans if I'm using canned beans, except for the Bush's beans. It comes in a mild chili sauce that I personally really like, but feel free to use whatever beans you like to add to yours. Once the beans have cooked down and been mixed in really well, maybe another 5 minutes, then you want to go ahead and add the rest of your spices, your bay leaf, and then cover your chili. I like to let my chili sit for a couple of hours. Those of you in the crock pot, feel free to cook it on high for about 3 to 4 hours, low for about 6 hours, just depending on how incorporated and strong you want the flavors of your chili to be. Don't forget to add your secret ingredient, just a little drizzle of honey for a spicy sweetness. And there you have it, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and share Livin' Like Lex. Stay tuned because next week we're going to be doing one of my favorite desserts, the cheesecake. Take care, everyone.